What is up, people, and welcome back to the penultimate round of my F1 2017 career mode. We're here at the Brazilian Grand Prix for round 19 of this first season, and if you are new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It will really help me out. And also, if you do want to go catch up with the whole entire series, there is a card annotation in the top right hand corner of your screens. If you go click that, you'll get the previous episode at the Mexican Grand Prix, which is a really good race, so you should definitely go check that out. And of course, the whole entire playlist as well. But we're kicking things off in the practice sessions, and unfortunately this Brazilian Grand Prix isn't really a track that I particularly do well at on this game. I definitely noticed that in the practice sessions. I did manage to do the track climatization, getting a purple score, but that was it. That was it for the practice session. I couldn't do the time management, I couldn't do the fuel management, I couldn't do the qualifying pace, and I couldn't do the race strategy one either. And the main reason for it was I could get sort of the purple and the green scores for them, but I just couldn't get the target time, unfortunately. I'm just not quick enough around this circuit. I mean, the 1:15 that's showing on screen right now isn't a true representation of my time because I am running the track climatization, so I don't really push the car too much, but still, I am not quick at this circuit, and it's going to take a lot for us to get out of Q1 and into Q2 in the qualifying session, but we will just have to wait and see what happens. But until then, let's head over to qualifying.
Welcome to qualifying here in Interlagos as the cars are readying up for what's likely to be a very important session.
Here we go then, qualifying time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. As we come down towards the start-finish line now, what is our first lap time going to be good enough for? It's way off the pace of Kimi Raikkonen, 2.6 seconds off the pace of Kimi Raikkonen's pole time at the moment, 1:11.918, which is a whole lot better than what we were doing in the practice sessions. But still, we do need to improve on that. At the moment, we're only quicker than the Sauber drivers. We're not even quicker than the McLarens at the moment. Not even going faster there on our second lap. You can see my frustration just going straight off into that runoff area and getting reset onto the track. I was just so annoyed that I just could not find any pace around this circuit. Just look at that. Now I'm right down at the back of the field in 20th position. So far, we are looking pretty good though on this third lap. Down in towards sector 2 now. We're 4 tenths up on our previous best lap time in towards this long right hand. You just want to feed the car through, and in all honesty, I don't really know where I can improve on lap times. I suppose braking later and stuff like that. Obviously, you guys leave a comment down below. Where do you guys think that I can gain some time around this circuit? Because I was really struggling, and I do really need some pointers. Taking a sort of late apex into that right hander. Losing the back end a little bit, though. That lost us a bit of time. But 9 tenths up, nearly a whole second up on our previous best lap time at the moment. But through the final corner, the final proper corner on this Brazilian circuit, all of these are flat out now towards line. What is the lap time going to be good enough for? It's going to be just over the 1:11s, I believe. Maybe just under, maybe just into the 1:10s. Yes, it is just over the 1:11.007. That is only good enough for 17th position in this qualifying session. And messing up so much there on our final lap that was it. That was it for qualifying. Qualifying was all over from there on, and unfortunately we are out in P17. Roman Grosjean also getting knocked out in P16, so a good session there from Pascal Wehrlein to get into Q2, so well done there for the Sauber driver. Nico Hülkenberg as well getting into the second qualifying session. The only real chance that we have in this race is if there are any grid penalties. Of course, we have seen loads of grid penalties being dished out in the Malaysian, the Japanese, the American and the Mexican Grand Prix, so hopefully that continues into today's race and we start a lot further up the field than we really deserve to. But that is it for the qualifying session. What can we do from way down near the back of the grid? Let's find out as we head over to the race for the Brazilian Grand Prix.
With so much on the line here today, I can't help but shake the feeling that we're going to have a bit of pushing and shoving, Anthony Davidson, especially into turn 1 this afternoon.
Well, we do see a fair amount of that here at Interlagos, Crofty. It's a tricky braking zone, of course, as you're heading downhill into the centre S, which always makes it easy to lock the inside front and run a bit wide. We've seen a number of occasions over the years with someone from the leading group taking a bit of a knock on the first lap and having to recover. That's one of the reasons we've had so many exciting championship fights here. Hopefully, though, it will be a clean start, of course, but as you say, I wouldn't be too surprised if it's not.
Before we get into today's race, though, let's take a look at the starting grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix. And lining up in pole position, it is Lewis Hamilton, the championship contender, with Lance Stroll in second and Esteban Ocon in third. That was the Italian Grand Prix real-life starting grid there. We have Ericsson in fourth, Alonso fifth, Bottas, I think that was in sixth, Van Dorn seventh, Massa in eighth, then myself in ninth place with Nico Hülkenberg alongside me in 10th, Grosjean 11th, Pascal Wehrlein 12th, Carlos Sainz in 13th, Danny Kvyat in 14th, Magnussen 15th, then Sergio Perez in 16th, Max Verstappen 17th, Sebastian Vettel way down in 18th place, the championship leader there, with Daniel Ricciardo 19th, and another championship contender of Kimi Raikkonen right at the back of the field. So could this be a chance for Lewis Hamilton to catch up on the other championship contenders and possibly even take the lead of the championship this weekend? I don't think he can do it. I think it's 26 points as a gap, but he can certainly narrow it down to Sebastian Vettel. But we are starting today's race from P9 after a whole load of penalties here today. And this is going to be the race strategy for today's race, starting on the super soft tyres, pitting for another set of super softs, but pitting for another set of softs after that. But look at the rain. It is supposed to rain a little bit later in the session and then right at the end of the session, so we're not really too sure. We're going to change our strategy, obviously, if we need to when the rain comes down, but at the moment we're not too sure how serious that rain is going to be, as we're getting the Brazilian Grand Prix underway. We go to 5 red lights. It is lights out, and away we go for today's race. It's a pretty good start compared to the guys behind us, just staying in P9 at the moment. We'll have a little look, though, up the inside of Massa, and maybe the two McLarens just squeezing up the inside, down in towards turn 1, and that is a double overtake there, going 4 wide into turn 1 on the two McLarens, both myself and Felipe Massa getting the job done. Now picking up a great tow all the way down in towards turn 4, which is a bit of a surprise, seeing as the Renault really shouldn't be that quick compared to the Williams, but nevertheless we will take it, and we are now up into 6th position after the start of today's race. What a start that was here today, moving from P9 all the way up into P6, and that was so good that we're going to get a replay of exactly what happened down in towards turn 1. So a good start from myself, and straight away moving over to the inside line, diving it up the inside, going 4 wide momentarily with Massa and the two McLaren drivers. We get the job done on the two McLaren drivers, move up into P7, then pick up that tow all the way down in towards turn 4, and then we managed to get the job on Felipe Massa, going up the inside into turn 4, and there we go. That is how we got up into P6 for today's race. Up next is Valtteri Bottas, but I believe he's going to get the job done on Marcus Ericsson ahead of us, which he has done. So now we are hunting down Marcus Ericsson in that Sauber for 5th position. We're going to have a little look up the inside in towards this right hand, and can we get the job done? Not quite. Marcus Ericsson just holding on around the outside through there. He gets the inside line through that left hand, and now back in towards this right hairpin. As you can see on screen, the rain is starting to come down as we sort of barge Marcus Ericsson out of the way. A little bit aggressive in our overtake through that left hairpin, but we do get the job done, and we do move up into P5, hunting down Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll. But we are actually deciding to come into the pits. We feel like it's wet enough to come onto the intermediate tyres. I was locking up so much on the lap, on this lap before we came into the pits, so I felt it was definitely time to come onto intermediate tyres. It looks like I am the only driver to take this gamble at the moment. The sun is shining. There are a few blue skies about at the moment, but I just feel like it's time for intermediate tyres, and fingers crossed I have made the right call. Really quick pit stop, though, from the Renault crew. A 2.2 second stop. We're out on these intermediate tyres, exiting the pit, and hopefully we can start to make up some ground on the guys ahead of me. Of course, if we do make up ground on the guys ahead, then that means that we are on the right tyre choice. We're coming out of the pits now, of course, way down the field in P20. The only driver to come onto these intermediate tyres, so of course we're going to be right down at the back of the field. So really it's a case of, have we made the right choice, or was this a gamble too far? Because of course it is going to be drying up very soon as well, so if the gamble doesn't pay off, then it's not really going to work out too much for us. There are drivers into the pits, and they are all coming on to the intermediate tyres as well, so the gamble looks like it has paid off. But whereabouts are we going to come out in conjunction with the other drivers? Running it a little bit too deep there in towards turn 2, losing the back in as well all the way through turn 3, but nevertheless we get the job done, and we are in P11 right behind Lance Stroll and Esteban Ocon. So it's looking like we have come out in the exact same spot that we were before we came into the pit lane. So that's pretty decent from ourselves, getting up into P11, and we should come out P5 after everybody else comes into the pit lane. Look at the lead, though, that Lewis Hamilton has at the moment out on track. He's going down in towards turn 4 at the moment. He is currently dominating today's race. We're trying to get the job done on Lance Stroll. There is a driver coming out of the pits on the left-hand side. So this is going to be nip and tuck between myself and Felipe Massa on the left-hand side. Looks like Massa has got the job done going down towards turn 4, but can we do it under braking? We're going to have a little look, a bit of a dive bomb move up the inside, down into turn 4, losing the back end ever so slightly, but we get the job done. We move back up into P5 for this Brazilian Grand Prix, and that is a pretty decent job to get that position back off the Williams drivers. We're now losing the back end massively as we go through this left-hander. Look at that full look all the way to the right, and what a save. What a save that was through that left-hander. Just losing the back end, and I kept my foot down. That was the only way I felt that I could have saved that. Keep my foot down to the floor, full look the other way, you know, steering right to go left. And luckily, we managed to get the job done and keep the car on the circuits. We're now coming under pressure from Felipe Massa. He wants that 5th position. He goes around the outside in towards this hairpin. Can he get the job done? We're holding it on the left-hand side, losing the back end once again. Going down in towards this right-hander, locking up, dipping the wheel on the grass there. And now Massa's going to get the inside line. We're going to have to hold it around the inside of this left-hander. Can we get the job done? Looks like we can on Felipe Massa. And there he goes. He gives up on going for that overtake as we go in towards the final proper corner on this circuit. Still with Felipe Massa right on our tails. So he is going to be looking to go for that overtake very, very soon in today's race. Of course, he does want to get 5th position. And that doesn't really surprise me as there's another full lock moment going through that left hand. I'm really struggling with that corner. Of course, you usually go flat out in the dry, and it's still quite tricky in the dry to go flat out through that corner. But in the rain, it is just even worse, and we are struggling quite a bit at the moment in today's race. Still have Felipe Massa on our tail at the moment, but we're deciding to come into the pits once again. Our intermediate tyres haven't burnt out. We feel like once again the track is now dry enough for dry tyres, so making that switch earlier than the AI drivers. But have we got the call right this time around? We got it bang on with the first one. You know, pitting for the intermediate tyres at the right time. 1 lap earlier than the AI drivers. Unfortunately, they were still very quick on those dry tyres. The crossover phase was very close. But this time around, we're hoping that we've got the dry tyre phase right as well. So coming out of the pit lane, it looks like it's going to be P20 as well. 2.2 second stop once again there from the Renault crew. So it looks like there is some really good consistency with the pit stops at the end of the season. Of course, getting around 2.8 at the start of the season, even into the 3 seconds, and now getting down into 2.2. So it looks like the pit stops are really good at the moment for the Renault crew. But we've got quite a few guys right ahead of us. We've got the Saubers, the McLarens, and I think my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg isn't too far up the road as well. So this will be a good indicator, and it looks like it is a good indicator to show that we made the gamble at the right time, going for the overtake on Pascal Wehrlein on the left-hand side. This is very dangerous in case any of those two drivers did want to come into the pits there to switch their intermediate tyres. Luckily, they decided against it. We did kind of overtake them off the actual circuit, so in real life I would have got a penalty for doing so, but I felt like I had to just in case either of those two drivers decide to come into the pits, because if they did, then they would have taken myself out and themselves out as well. So it looks like Max Verstappen has come out just ahead of us, but it's going to be side by side down into the turn 4. We get the job done under braking into the corner. One guy who has managed to get the job done is Carlos Sainz. He has made the overcut work perfectly to his advantage, getting out ahead of me and moving up into P6. But at the moment, we're not exactly where we wanted to be. We need to come out in around P6, and there is Felipe Massa on our left-hand side. Can he come out ahead of us at the moment? I don't think he can. It's going to be wheel-to-wheel action, but I don't think it is actually anymore, as Felipe Massa, yes he does, just slots in behind us down in towards turn 4, and we hold on to P6 for the time being. A little bit disappointing to lose out on P6 to Carlos Sainz, but nevertheless a track which we have been struggling at all weekend. To be at the moment on lap 16 of this race holding on to P6, I think is a really, really good result at the moment. So it looks like Felipe Massa going up the inside, down in towards turn 1, going to hold it round the outside, get the inside line to turn 2, and then still being able to hold on to the position. But Felipe Massa getting the job done on Max Verstappen and moving up into 7th position for the time being. But Felipe Massa trying it once again on ourselves, this time up the inside in towards turn 4, having to try and hold it around the outside, but unfortunately there's just not enough grip on my tyres or around the outside of that corner, and unfortunately Felipe Massa has got the job done, and he does move up into P6 for today's race. Really disappointing that we're now starting to fall down through the field. The reason that we have gone onto the medium tyres and not gone for a set of softs or a set of super softs is because it's supposed to rain at the end of the race. So I'm trying to hold out on these medium tyres till the end of the race, and then go on to a set of intermediate tyres without having to make that extra pit stop, as it looks like Max Verstappen's got the job done through turn 1 and turn 2. Great overtake there from the Red Bull driver, but we're going to pick up the slipstream and the DRS all the way down to turn 4. Of course, we have the same engine in the back of our car up the inside of Max Verstappen. They're side by side between the two of us, but we get the job done and we hold on to P7. What a fantastic job we are doing at the moment in today's race. It's lap 17 at the moment. Lap 18 now, so Lewis Hamilton crosses the line, but we are now holding on to 7th place at the moment. So this is absolutely incredible stuff from myself, but we run a little bit wide there through the hairpin. That gives Max Verstappen enough of an opportunity to get the job done. Unfortunately, we let him have a chance. We opened the door through a high downforce section of this circuit, and of course Max Verstappen is going to get the job done. The downforce on that Red Bull is just so superior to our own, as we've done it once again, locking up this time into the second hairpin, and Kimi Raikkonen gets the job done, goes round the outside. We hold it round the inside of that left-hander, unfortunately understeering into the side of Kimi Raikkonen, now having contact with Daniel Ricciardo through the final proper corner on this circuit. And now this is the battle for 10th place. I've got myself in 10th, Ricciardo in 11th, Perez 12th, and Kevin Magnussen in 13th, as Ricciardo will have a look up the inside, down in towards turn 1 and turn 2. Here he goes up the inside. We're going to hold it round the outside of turn 1, get the inside line through turn 2, but Ricciardo, with that better downforce, holds on. We just dip our wheel onto the curb there. That means we lose the back end, and unfortunately we've lost position to Perez and Kevin Magnussen at the same time. So go down towards turn 4. Unfortunately, we just don't have enough under braking to get the job done. We've lost out 3 positions in the space of 1 corner there, which is really, really frustrating, losing out to Ricciardo, Perez, and the Haas of Kevin Magnussen as well. So we're now coming under pressure from Felipe Massa now in this race. This race pretty much after lap 12 has just been a case of me coming under pressure from other drivers and just not having anything to fight with. I've kind of made a mistake here going onto the medium tyres, as we give Massa a lot of room there going through turn 2 as he tried the overtake. We've got a few drivers coming into the pits, so that's going to give me some positions. Max Verstappen comes out ahead of us, but we're going to get the slipstream all the way down in towards turn 4. Maybe have a look up the inside of the Red Bull driver. A lot of contact between the two of us. We just bounce off his left-hand side. He's holding it around the outside through turn 5, down in towards turn 6 now. Max Verstappen on the right-hand side, having to give him room, and there's contact once again between the two of us. We dip a wheel on the grass, and unfortunately that gives position to Felipe Massa. We dive it back up the inside, though, down in towards the hairpin. Massa holding on to P9 there. And unfortunately now getting overtaken by Carlos Sainz down in towards this hairpin. And we're just really, really struggling in this race for grip on these medium tyres. Now having to hold it round the outside through this long sweeping left-hander. Sainz on the left, myself holding it round the outside on the right-hand side. And unfortunately another bit of contact there. We're just too aggressive at the moment. I don't know what is happening with my racing, but we're just too aggressive right now in today's race, and it's caused us a lot of problems. It has caused us so many problems in this race, being too aggressive. We made contact with other drivers, and it's just cost us positions in today's race. We've got more drivers into the pits, though, so that does give me a chance to get back up into the points for the time being. Got another driver exiting the pit lane at the moment, which is Kimi Raikkonen at the moment. So that moves us up into P9 for the time being in today's race, but can we stay here? Kimi Raikkonen right to our tail. It's only going to be a matter of time before these guys catch up to me, and look at that now. Daniel Ricciardo right to my tail in P10. He moves over to the right-hand side. We defend from him, but Kimi Raikkonen goes up the inside, down in towards turn 1. Going to hold it around the outside through turn 1. We're running it very, very deep into that corner, and unfortunately not able to fight Kimi Raikkonen. Unfortunately, the grip is failing us on these tyres with only 6 laps left to go. We need the rain to come down. We need it to come down as soon as possible at today's Brazilian Grand Prix, as we now have Daniel Ricciardo all over our tail going through turn 4. Daniel Ricciardo still on our tail 1 lap later on lap 31. So here goes Daniel Ricciardo in towards the right-hander off turn 6. Can he have a look, as there's a huge gap there for Ricciardo, and what a move. What a move that was for Daniel Ricciardo to go up the inside through turn 6. He saw the gap, he took it, and that's a fantastic move there from the Red Bull driver to move up into the points position. And that unfortunately means that we are down in P11 and now getting lapped in today's Brazilian Grand Prix. We actually gave a lot of room there to Lewis Hamilton to go around the outside. He decided that he wanted a bit more, so there was a little bit of contact between the two of us. But Lewis Hamilton leading today's race, and that means that we have now been lapped in today's Brazilian Grand Prix. So the race just goes from bad to worse. We really struggled in the practice and the qualifying sessions. We had a chance at the start of the race, you know, being well up at P5 at one point, and then it's just been a backwards, just been a roller coaster downhill all the way from P5, now running in P11, but trying to defend from the likes of Kevin Magnussen, Roman Grosjean, my teammate, and Danny Kvyat in this huge train at the moment. So it looks like they're going to go 3 wide down in towards turn 1. Hulkenberg getting the job done on both Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean. Grosjean comes back and Nico Hulkenberg, though, for the time being, but Hulkenberg's going to get the inside line through turn 3, and he comes straight back at Roman Grosjean through that corner, back up into what is now P12 for the race, and we're just letting Hulkenberg through. There's no point me fighting. We're on different strategies in today's race, and if there is a chance for him to get points, I'm going to let him take it, because of course we are battling with Force India in the Constructors' Championship, and they are getting quite a few points at the moment in today's race, so we do have to be aware of that as we now cut ahead to lap 35 at the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're still holding off the 2 Haas drivers and the Toro Rosso as well, but we are deciding to come into the pits. The rain is coming down, and I thought I might as well take a gamble. We've got pretty much 1 lap left to go because Lewis Hamilton has lapped us in today's race. So we've got 1 lap really left to go. So we thought we might as well try, see what we can do on these intermediate tyres. If the rain comes down bad enough in these final couple of laps, then maybe I can get past Lewis Hamilton and see what I can do in the final lap. Unfortunately, I'm going to come down right to the back of the field in, I think it's going to be like P18. I've got a Sauber, a McLaren, and a Force India going through turn 3 at the moment. Are we going to come out ahead of these guys? No, we're not. Just behind the McLaren of Stoffel Van Dorn. And now we're down in 19th position for today's race, which is really, really frustrating. And it's just a case of whether these intermediate tyres will work or not. And when I came out the pits, they felt all right, to be fair. They were good tyres, but they just weren't good enough to capitalise on the dry tyres enough. And here we are, the final lap. Lewis Hamilton is going to win today's race. He's been absolutely dominant today, and that moves him up into 2nd place in the championship. And now only 16 points behind Sebastian Vettel as we dive up the inside there on Stoffel Van Dorn and Marcus Ericsson now holding it around the outside. Lewis Hamilton wins today's race. He's been so dominant today, leading from the front. It's been absolutely incredible there from the Mercedes man as we dive up the inside once again into this right hander. The intermediate tyres are really starting to work at the moment. I say, if we had another 2, maybe 3 laps, then we would have really been able to mount a serious challenge. But unfortunately, that's just not the case here today. And the rain just did not come down late enough for us as Valtteri Bottas completes a Mercedes 1-2, finishing in 2nd place. He's going to be very, very happy with that. But coming through the final corner, it's been my worst race this season. It's been such a disappointment here today. And I honestly cannot wait for this race to be over.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
So, a disastrous race there from myself, way down in, I think it was 17th position at the end of the day. I can't remember, but I honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm outside the points, so 11th from 17th is an awful position to finish this race in. We just had no pace. I've got no excuses, but I just had no pace. I don't know why I didn't have any pace, but I had just no pace around this circuit, unfortunately. But Lewis Hamilton is the race winner here today on a brighter note with Valtteri Bottas in 2nd place and Sebastian Vettel rounds out the podium. Good job from him there. Starting down in 18th position, getting onto the podium. What a fantastic result that is for Sebastian Vettel. Lance Stroll finishes in 4th place, beating Esteban Ocon to 4th with Esteban Ocon in 5th. So that's good points there for the Force India team, getting 10 points. So now that moves them 10 points ahead of me in the Constructors' standings. Max Verstappen finishes in 6th place with Felipe Massa 7th. Then was Carlos Sainz in 8th. Kimi Räikkönen in 9th position, which means he's going to be way off the pace now in the championship with Daniel Ricciardo getting the final championship point here today. Unfortunately for Nico Hulkenberg, he was not able to secure any points here today, unfortunately way down in 11th place. And then we have Kevin Magnussen and Roman Grosjean also missing out on the points here today. Further down the field then, Danny Kvyat finishes in 14th with Fernando Alonso in 15th. Then it's Marcus Ericsson in 16th. Myself, unfortunately, down in 17th, which is really, really annoying. It was actually Pascal Wehrlein that we overtook on the final lap, not Marcus Ericsson. Pascal Wehrlein behind us in P18 and Stoffel Van Dorn in 19th, with Sergio Perez way down the field in P20. Not a good race there for the Force India drivers. So for myself and Sergio Perez, it has not been a good race at all. But hopefully this doesn't affect us too much in the Drivers' Championship. And it doesn't look like it does. We're still in P7 at the moment, but the gap between myself and Esteban Ocon going into the final race of the season is only 5 points. So Esteban Ocon still has a great chance of overtaking us in the championship and moving up into P7. We would preferably like to hold on to P7 for the time being. Look at my teammate as well. He is equal on points to Felipe Massa. But the big talking point after today's race is the championship, the top of the championship. Sebastian Vettel still leads the way, but Lewis Hamilton is now only within 16 points of the championship leader. So it's looking very comfortable going into the final race for Sebastian Vettel. But Lewis Hamilton, you know, strange things have happened this season, and Lewis Hamilton could have a great chance of taking the championship at the final race of the season after being about, I don't know, maybe about 30 points behind at the likes of Japan, something like that. So, you know, to come back from that margin to now be 16 points away and be in contention for the championship is incredible. Kimi Räikkönen is just about within contention, though, for the championship as well. He is 24 points behind his teammate, which means he needs to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and hope that Sebastian Vettel comes in 10th position or lower, because I believe that Kimi Räikkönen has won a lot more races than Sebastian Vettel this season. Of course, going into the final race, I will get all of the races that have been won by the drivers and see which drivers have won the most races for this season. But let's take a look at the Constructors' Championship. So going into the final round of this first season, Renault have now dropped down into P5 in the Constructors' Championship, which means Force India up into P4. There's a 10 points difference between our two teams, which means it's still likely that Renault can overtake Force India, but we need a good result from both myself and, of course, Nico Hülkenberg at a circuit which may suit the Force India drivers a lot more with those two very, very long straights. So we just need to make sure we get ahead of both those guys and stay ahead of them at the end of the race, whilst also getting 10 extra points to them. So we do have a bit of a task ahead of us, but I do reckon we will have a very, very good chance of trying to get the points away from the Force India team. But that is it for the Brazilian Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for daily Formula 1 content, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. And I'll see you next time for the final round of this first season of the F1 2017 career mode, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But until then, it's goodbye from me.